Well, good morning. Welcome to Lake Community Church's morning Bible study. We are in Judges chapter 7, and we're dealing with verses 4 through 8. This passage is the passage where God decides who gets to go to battle or who He's going to choose to use in battle, basically by how they drank water. and and I know that there are a lot of analysis out there, scriptural analysis. This actually is one of those things that gets a lot of play in the commentaries and things like that, based on how the soldiers drank, or the soldiers that might be a soldier actually drank the water from the river or the creek. If you were in Alabama, it would have been a creek for sure. If based off of how they drank the water, and to tell you the truth, I think sometimes if you do that analysis, you miss the forest for the trees, and so I don't think that's the whole purpose. I don't think that's the purpose at all in why God chose some to go to battle based off of how they drank. I think it was based off of the numbers who did each one. And remember, back at the beginning, that God got rid of a whole bunch of them. There was 22,000 men, and He got rid of 12,000 of them, more than half. He got rid of well over half of the soldiers by just saying, if you're afraid or you're worried or you're doubtful, you're out. Go home. Don't worry about it. We're not upset with you. If you have fear in your heart, we need you to just go, because you're fearful, and we don't want you to be fearful in battle. And in all actuality, it wasn't a shaming thing. It was just a straightforward. I know you're afraid. There's no use in you putting yourself through this. Okay. Now, is fear a bad thing as far as Scripture is concerned? Well, it's not in regard to God, but it is in regard to God's plans. If you are fearful of what God's doing in the world and in your life, and you're not trusting in Him, well, that can be very negative. In this situation, we've got 10,000 men to fight the Midianites. It's going to be the Midianites in this battle. And in this situation, they are just wholly outnumbered at 10,000. 10,000 is likely not enough to win the battle, okay? If you're just pure military logistics, military planner, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter what happens. 10,000 is going to have a lot of trouble. And then God does what He does. And what does He do? Well, in verse 4 it says, "But the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many." Meaning the soldiers that He has are too many. "Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you there. Then it will be that of whom I say to you, the one shall go with you, the same shall go with you. And whoever I say to you, the one shall not go with you, the same shall not go." So what He's saying is, I'm going to take them down to the water, and we're going to test them. And when I tell you the group to take, you take them. And when I tell you the group to not take, you tell them to go home also. So He brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, "Everyone who laps from the water with his tongue as a dog laps, you shall set apart by himself. Likewise, everyone who gets down on his knees to drink." Now, you're sitting there going, I don't know exactly how this is working. Well, those who drank the water directly from the stream, meaning they got down on their hands and knees, were one group. And the other group were a group that would pick the water up with their hand and lap it out of their hands. Okay, so you've got those two groups of people. And He says, I want you to separate the men by how they drink the water. Okay, give them a drink of water and separate them based off of how they drink it. All right, and the number of those who lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, so it's explaining how they did it, was 300 men. But all the rest of the people got down on their knees to drink the water. So everybody else got down on their knees to drink the water, and 300 out of 10,000 got the water in their hands and drank it from their hands. Now, let me pay homage to those who've did the analysis. It is true, if I pick the water up with my hand and drink from the water, I am more cognizant of what's going on around me. It's more, it is a effort to be more aware, okay? And it's definitely true if I get down on my hands and knees and drink water like a, like a gazelle in the Nile River. If I do that, then I'm not cognizant, and obviously the crocodile might get me. But that being said, I just don't see how that really matters in light of what God's going to do. And the reason I don't see that really matters is I think that the whole purpose of this was to get the number down, and there's no question that's what God's doing, because he starts out by saying the people are too many. He's getting the number down to 300. 300 men to go do battle with a people that are described as locusts on the plain, meaning there's millions and billions of them. By the way, if you want to know what that looks like, just look up locust in the Middle East, the locust swarm in the Middle East, and you'll have pictures of, they are everywhere. And 300 men can't defeat that many people. There's no way. Even if we sent 300 of our greatest soldiers into an area where there were 5-10 million people, they could defeat them. They couldn't defeat them. That's not even possible. With modern weaponry, they couldn't defeat them because eventually their weapons would jam, their weapons would run out. Eventually they would be overwhelmed. There's too many to fight. They would have to have air support, no doubt about it, and they would have to have the ability to get away quickly, and they probably couldn't. There's no way, even with modern weapons, there's no way they could win. And that's the point. That's the point. The point is that God, when he moves, when he wins victories in situations where you, in your human strength, or anything in human strength, can't win it. Only God can win it. Okay? Now, there's a lot of battles that are won in human strength throughout history, and very likely God was in the middle of it. Okay? But God is not doing this so that he can defeat the Midianites at this time. He's not destroying the Midianites. Okay? He is doing this to show that he's God. He's doing this to show to the Israelites that the God that brought them out of Egypt, that defeated the Egyptians with plagues and with a sea that collapsed on their army, is the same God that exists today. And so when he calls Gideon a mighty man of valor, he's going to put him in a position where he has truly got to be a man of valor, or a man who trusts him, because he's going to go to battle with 300 men. He's going to go to battle against likely millions, but at least hundreds of thousands of soldiers with just 300 men. And even if it's only 70,000 or 60,000, he's going to go to battle with 300 men. Why? So that God can prove that he's the author of your victory. Oftentimes, people ask God in the worst of situations, why have you put me in this situation? Why am I in this situation? Why is this happening to me? And most of the time, if you're a believer, the answer to the question is so that God can prove that he is God. But you're going to have to be a mighty person of valor. You're going to have to be a person of strength. Strength of not of your own, but strength of your faith in God. You're going to have a person that walks in strength and trusts God. It says by 300 men who lapped, I will save you. That's what he says. That's what the Lord said to Gideon in verse 7. And deliver the Midianites into your hand. Let all the other people go, every man to his place. get rid of the 9,700 and keep the 300. So that the people took provisions and their trumpets in their hands, and he sent away all the rest of Israel, every man to his tent, and retained those 300 men. Now the camp of Midian was below him in the valley. The opportunity for victory was right there, and God had set it up so that the only way they could win was to trust him. If you find yourself in that position where the only way there's going to be a victory is if God steps in, you're in a good spot. You are in a good spot. Because human efforts at best are meager, okay? Our efforts are at best weak. But God's efforts are never weak, and they always result in what he desires. God desired to pare down this army in such a way that only a few would know, only a few would walk, only a few would have, only a few would be able to do battle at all because all the rest had gone home. So the one who had to win the battle was going to have to be God anyway. And by the way, it's quite clear that that was God's plan. The first 7 verses of this passage tell us that God planned to take 22,000, 21,000 people and pare them down to 300 so that he could prove he was God. We're always better off when we see in the flesh an issue to first search in the spiritual for the answer. Because that almost always and exclusively is where the answer comes from. May God bless you and keep you. May make his face to shine upon you. May he give you hope and peace today in Jesus' name.